about our continent. Thank you very much for everyone who has been watching our videos, sharing, subscribing, and also leaving your comments. May God bless you, and please continue to do so. And for those who are sending personal encouraging messages, please God, go on, please go on, because we really need that, and it's also helping along the way. I have to tell you, for the transformation of Africa, we have to believe in one another, we have to trust one another, we have to support one another. There's so many things that we need to do for the transformation of our continent. Today, I have to come with you to talk about one of the issues that we need to deal with, so as we can let God and allow God to transform us as a people, so we can change our continent. We all know that sometimes the things we do and the sins we commit, they can lead us to places that we don't want to be. And as for me, I think we as African people have committed things that are not from God, and that is why we continue to suffer so many things in our continent. We all have history of our continent, we all have history of our nations, and sometimes when we look at our nations, we can understand why we're going through, because a lot of bloodshed has been shed in our continent. That's a topic for another day, and that's a topic that we need to pray, because it can become very sensitive, and we need to now really discussing our issues, because until we discuss the problems that we have, we cannot find solutions, because we will walk thinking we are okay. We will walk thinking we are right. We are going to live our lives thinking we are right with God. We are going to live our lives thinking we are right with ourselves. We are going to live a life thinking and assuming everything is okay. But that's not the case. At the moment, we know that Africa experienced so many problems. At the moment, some of the countries, even economically, when you see what is going on, you feel sad and you feel so sorry and you feel like, oh my God, where is hope? I tell you something, sometimes when I sit to look at Africa, sometimes when I sit to read about Africa, when I see what is all going around and what has happened, if I was not a born-again Christian, I was going to despair. If I was not a godly woman, I was going to give up and say, God, I don't think you're in this continent. I remember once upon a time, we had a friend who came with a son, and they came from Israel, actually. And I remember the son saying to him, Father, he saw so many things that were happening in Africa. And this boy said to his father, asked his father, Father, do you think there's a God in Africa? And the father was like, why are you asking that? And he was like, I'm asking that because, Daddy, there's so many things that are happening in this continent. There's so many things that I have seen that I feel that there's no God in this continent. So you can imagine a mind of a child looking at situations and the circumstances, and that is long time. I'm talking about the 90s. I'm talking about the 90s. So you can imagine what that child must have seen for him to say that, and that was then. So if he comes now again as a grown-up, he will still ask the same question. Now, my people, we know that we believe in Jesus Christ. We know that most of us, we serve a living God. But what are the things that are stopping us from moving forward? Now, can we start dealing with ourselves? Because when we start saying that other people has caused the problems and we're not looking at ourselves, we know where the problem are. I mean, we know where the problems are, we know where they start, we know where they end, we know who's causing that, but how about ourselves as individuals? What do we need to do for God to use us to be able to transform our continent? What do we need to change for us to be able to do things that are going to transform our lives, our friends' lives, our families, and our children? What is the foundation that we can lay in our continent, that when our children leave, or when our children come to their time, they will say, our ancestors did a great job. Are we ready to transform our continent? Are we ready to be transformed by God? Are we ready to be used by God? Are we going to allow God to use us for the promise that He has given to our continent? Now, I will start by talking the one thing we need to change, so as we can be quick on this video. The one thing that we need to change is our mindset. Our minds is what we need to change. Remember, we are who we think, and we are what we think. If you think great, I think you become a great person. If you think low, you become a low person. If you despair, if you think about despair, you despair. If you think about stress, you get stressed. Me, that's how I look at things. And I have to tell you, my own story is, since I have started talking about Africa, I have changed as a person. I have changed because of the things I am reading and the things that I would want to change. Though instilled by the Holy Spirit and guided by the Holy Spirit, I'm truly believing that I have grown an inch from the time I started Sassy Africa. It's only a few videos, it's only a few that I have created, it's only a different kind of lifestyle that I have started to experience, but I tell you what, it is the best experience ever. It is the best thing ever I've ever done. Since I came into this life, I've never done, and I haven't, listen, let me explain. I haven't done major things. I haven't done explosive, big, massive things that can shock you, where you got to show your history for you to start saying such things. You got to show what you have done so far. I haven't done much. I have done very little. But this is transforming me as a person. This is making me become even stronger in my faith. Because before, let me quickly say this. Before I used to say, God, why is it in Africa we suffer so much and we are praying? I never used to understand. That's a discussion of another time, but for today, let me take you to what I promised to talk about from the beginning of this video before I lose myself. I'm one person who likes to talk a lot, so sometimes it's easy to lose myself. Now listen, how do we change our mindset? We have two kinds of mindset, and this is how I'm going to explain it. One kind of mindset is emotional mindset, and the other one is rational mindset. A rational mindset is a powerful mind. Emotional mindset is a comfortable mind. Now, let me say it in a simpler way. A fixed mind and a mind of growth. If you have a fixed mind is a mind that has always said to you things like, oh, you can't change anything, you can't do any business, you're not good enough, or you can't get that job, you're not educated enough. But the growth mind, when your fixed mind says that, your growth mind, this is what your growth mind is going to say back to the fixed mind. But you can go and study and achieve whatever you want to achieve, and this can make you get the job that you really want. Or if it was the case of business, your fixed mind will be like, oh, how can you start a business? You have no finances, you have no experience, you have nothing around you, you come from nothing. So how can you even be able to start a business? But your growth mind will say to your fixed mind, I want to start my business and I will start with nothing, because along the way, I will find ways, I will have experience, and until I start, I can never know what is ahead of me. And the experience I need is the experience of starting my own business. So, always as a human being, a fixed mind will always talk to you. This is when you're having conversations with yourself. This is when you're calling yourself into a meeting and checking yourself into the boardroom. These are the conversations you have with your mind. So you have a fixed mind and you have a growth mind. So a fixed mind will always stop you from wanting to do the things that you want to do, or try to do, or plan to do, or envision to do. But a growth mind will always fight the fixed mind. So what do we need to change then as African people? We need to change the way we think. Let me look at this. How can you change from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset? Now listen, this is not me who wrote this. This is somebody else, so I'm reading from somebody else's. Learn to hear your fixed mindset voice. Learn to hear your fixed mindset voice. Because when you have a challenge and your fixed mind tells you you cannot be able to come out of the challenge, or you cannot be able to face that challenge, always remember, the growth mind is going to speak to your fixed mind and say, this challenge I can be able to face. This challenge I can be able to tackle. And that's where we as Sassy Africa are coming in. Now understand, because I want you to understand this one of changing mind. For us to want to go, to start talking about Africa or having discussions about Africa, it's because we believe the promise that God has given us. The promise that God has given us is that He's going to transform our continent, and He's going to transform everything, and we're going to become afresh and anew, and we're going to be blessed. But that is God speaking to us. But the fixed mind, this is what it says. Oh, Africa, with all these issues, with all these problems, oh my gosh, where do you even start? But my growth mind replies to my fixed mind. Oh, we can start from somewhere. We can start from dealing from one thing after another. We can start sorting things out one by one. We can start realizing what the mistakes are and what has been stopping us from moving ahead, and then we can deal with that. But then the fixed mind does not give up easily. It will come to you and say, but, especially, okay, let me tell you a discussion I had with a colleague of mine the other day. We were talking about Africa, and I was telling them about what I'm trying to do. And he says to me, oh, you can't tell me that Africa can change. You can't tell me that you can be able to transform Africa, because anything you try to do in Africa, especially the leaders, cannot allow you to do so. I said, let me tell you, You got to believe and to realize that God has power. Those leaders are created by God. Though we know they do things that are not of God, they're created by God. So who are you to say that Africa cannot be transformed? Because that's what you see with your mind. Now let me take you to the fixed mind and the growth mind in this, the fixed mind and the growth mind of this man. Him, in his fixed mind, he thinks we cannot be able to change. But for Sassy, with their growth mind, they know we can change. They know we can transform. We know that we can do, we can solve the problems that we have, and we can also change the failures to become our opportunities. So we as a people, how can we be transformed? We have to start changing our mindset. We have to start knowing that anything that we have experienced in our past should remain in our past and start facing the future. We have to believe that the problems and the chaos and everything that is happening in that continent can be transformed and can be changed. And we have to know and believe in ourselves, and I keep saying this. First, we have to believe in God and believe in ourselves that we can be able to transform our continent. Our continent cannot remain the same until we choose for the continent to remain the same. Let me take you to the story of Martin Luther King. If Martin Luther King did not believe in what he was doing, or what he was saying, or what he was setting out to do, was there going to be any change of end of the things that were oppressing the black Americans? If Nelson Mandela from South Africa did not get out and suffer for 27 years and believe in what he believed and never changed his mind in his in prison, where I'm sure he suffered. Okay, some people say he didn't suffer, but how can you be in prison and not suffer? To be locked away for 27 years is not even a joke. It's not even a light joke. So for our ancestors to be able to achieve even, okay, let's take another example. For our ancestors to have a powerful mind and remember, they're also human beings. It doesn't matter what time they started the word. Let me put this right. It doesn't matter what time it was. For our ancestors to have the courage to go and the bravery to go and fight the colonists so as they can liberate us. Of course, they were having fixed mind that was telling them they do not have this and they do not have that, but they had their growth mind. And every time in life as a human being, you will have these two things competing, these two minds competing in your head. One will be telling you you can, and another one will be telling you you can't. So what is the problem with us as Africans, and why don't we believe that we can change? It's because our fixed minds is always telling us the situations cannot change. Where this man, the one I was having discussion with, said that the leaders cannot allow us. If we think that way, if we think the leaders cannot allow us, who are they? Because I was listening to my preacher the other day, he said, sometimes when God lays something to you, they will have to stop God before they stop you. So whatever we are trying to do, and remember, we are not going to our continent to cause chaos. We are not encouraging people to go out there and do things that are not of God. We are speaking about things that we can be able to change. We are trusting God. We are believing God. We want to change our continent because we believe God has said good things and great things about our continent. And also, we have people who have walked ahead of us. Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, our presidents who have died, our former presidents in our continent, who have died, who liberated us so as we can have the freedom we have right now. Our ancestors, any ancestor who was involved in the fighting and the fierce fighting of liberating us, if they didn't have the mind of growth, they were not going to believe in themselves, and they were not going to believe in anything that they set out to do. For us to change our continent, for me, I am loving the failures of Africa, because I truly believe that those failures are the ones which are going to create opportunities. And my African people, 2 years down the line, we shall be talking about different things, and I will tell you to start noting every little change that is coming to Africa. Next 5 years will be history. 10 years, it will be amazing. So my people, let's change our mindset. Let's start believing that we can do and change the situations that we have in our continent. Let us believe that anything that has always stopped us from moving forward, we are going to take it on the side. And with God, He's the one who's going to use us. And through us, we are going to transform ourselves. We are going to be transformed, and we are going to transform our continent. My African people, let's change our mindset. We can do this. We can transform with a lot of creativity, with a lot of innovation, with a lot of mindset change. Change of mindset, we can be able to achieve. There's so much in this life, there's so much in this world we can use for the benefit of our continent. There's so much right now we can access, and we have power to access, especially for those who believe in God. We have power to access only if we can trust that we can make a difference. My African people, it's time to change our mindset. Let us say goodbye to the fixed mind and start believing, hello, our growth mind, because I truly believe our continent will be changed. Our continent will be transformed. my African people, it's not time to despair. Yes, we have chaos. Yes, we have situations. Yes, we are struggling financially, economically, physically, mentally, everything. We are suffering everything. But let me tell you something, all can be changed, but only if we want to deal with our minds. If we want our mindset to change, if we want to change the way we think, if we want to change everything that is not from God, our continent will be changed. Do not listen to your fixed mind, but listen to your growth mindset, and you will transform your continent. We are waiting on you. We are trusting that you can do it. We can do it, and God can do it. And I pray and I believe that our continent is going to be transformed. So please, let's change our mindset. This is a topic that I'm going to discuss in depth, and I'm going to talk more. And podcast is coming soon where we can have discussions and also discuss in depth and also discuss in details, because what we are trying to do here right now is very short and I cannot be able to go in depth, because this one of fixed mind and the mindset thing is something that we really need to talk about. So I'm going to be making more videos about this. Stay with me and please share the videos so as the information can travel as far as it needs to get. And also please believe and trust that Sassy Africa is bringing messages that are going to transform our continent. It's not time for you to listen to your fixed mind, but listen to your growth mind. Until I see you the next time, I will have to bless you, bless your families, bless the nations of Africa and the whole continent. And like I always say, simple people from simple messages. Until next time, Kwaheri.